Typical day in the life of Jeff May. I get a homework assignment, I try to work on it, but I can't for the life of me get myself fully committed. I guess you could say there are other things on my mind, like some movie I saw the other day. You know, the really crappy one. Or it could have something to do with my own projects. I have such a huge passion for entertainment that I want to have a major hand in the creation of all sorts of media. Books, television, movies, music, video games, you name it, I got my brand name on it. But of course, I still have school to get through. You can say I'm a senior in college. Of course, I've been a senior for about 3 years now. Every time I think I'm headed for a big graduation, my teachers are like, "Psych! You're not finished yet. Now you gotta take algebra level 7." I try to pass as many classes as I can each semester, but I can never keep any more than 3 by the end, and I'm lucky to even pass all of those. I have a very hard time finding the will to do the assignment, no matter what kinds of motivation I use. Hence, yeah. It's very difficult to juggle so many responsibilities at once, and it becomes all the harder because of my condition. One day, I saw a psychiatrist and told them about all the problems I seem to be having with my mind, and they pretty much confirmed that I have obsessive compulsive disorder, or OCD. For those of you that don't know, OCD is, according to Wikipedia, an anxiety disorder characterized by intrusive thoughts that produce uneasiness, apprehension, fear or worry, repetitive behaviors aimed at reducing the associated anxiety, or a combination of such obsessions and compulsions. Or, to simplify, it's a paranoid or obsessive reaction to certain ideas that pop in your head. For instance, someone with OCD, in fact, let's not beat around the bush here, myself, might think about doing something really unpleasant, like, say, stabbing myself in the belly button with a pen. Do I want to do it? Hell no. Do you have any idea how sensitive your belly button is? Here's a hint. Almost as much as a man's testicles. Yeah, pretty sensitive. But whereas most people would just think, wow, that would be really unpleasant, good thing I'm not going to do it, moving on. For those with OCD, once a troubling thought enters their mind, they can't get it out, at least until they're distracted by something else. Another example is the fear of doing or saying something uncalled for to someone else. When I see someone on the bus, I might be afraid of offending them somehow, like if I stared at them for too long, tripped them while they're walking, or overall did something completely random. I even have thoughts of killing people, doing all kinds of psychotic things you would expect to see in a horror movie. But those are just my imagination going wild on a casual day. I have no intention of doing such. But if you're sitting in front of me, chances are I'm thinking of doing such things to you right now as you watch this video. Another example is the fear of anything I say being taken the wrong way, or worse, the fear of saying something I don't actually mean just because it popped into my head. A fine example of this is a fear I developed recently of accidentally saying the N-word when talking to a black person. It led to some pretty awkward situations when I took theater classes and had to do certain scenes with classmates who happened to be African American. Could you imagine the shitstorm if I let the word slip in one of my lines? Thankfully, that never happened. A common phobia that comes from OCD is the fear of germs. I am actually not among those who have it. Hell, if I was that afraid of them, I'd be taking showers much more frequently than I do. But I do end up washing my hands fairly frequently, at least when they're greasy, because I want to keep as firm a grip as I can on these. These are objects I twirl in my hands whenever I'm having wild compilations of thoughts running through my head. They can range from all sorts of objects: twist ties, wires, nails, screws, Allen wrenches, plastic toys, etc. As long as I can fluidly spin it around between my fingers, all while it firmly keeps its shape, then it qualifies. I've been playing with these things ever since I was little, but I've become a lot more secretive about them over the years. By now, I prefer to hide them from others, including my own family, but I still play with them, often while pacing around, usually outside on a cool night. That said, when I drop the one I'm playing with and can't find it, all hell breaks loose. So after going on said night stroll, I'll arrive home. Sometimes the others will already be asleep, so I'll have to lock the door. Unfortunately, I never trust what I just saw myself do and pretty much quadruple check the lock to make sure it's in the vertical position, which of course means locked. I then check to make sure all the lights are off and then check the lock again. I then get a quick drink of water out of the refrigerator. I then have to double check to make sure my bottle is closed, then check the bottom of the fridge to make sure my cat didn't walk inside of it, though she hasn't done so yet. In fact, I check all of the doors before closing them to make sure I don't crush the cat. When setting my alarm, I have to make sure it's on and in the right position. I even check this when I'm in my bed, reaching across to where it's sitting. When dreaming, there are certain things I try to avoid, often by telling myself not to dream about them before I go to sleep. This includes grotesque nightmares, disturbing imagery, insects with bizarre proportions, being chased, upsetting experiences, and even things that came to my attention that I have been obsessively thinking about over the last few days. One thing I've learned is to watch what I eat before going to bed. Image is a pretty big part of it. I dream of being the good-looking young man who's changing the world with his amazing acting talents, excellent stories, and independent attitude. But at this point in my life, I am 25 years old, still struggling to finish all my college courses. I've never had a job, never learned to drive, never been in a relationship, had sex, dated, or even shared a romantic kiss, getting fat, and just got braces. There are times when I just wonder to myself why I haven't actually grown up yet, despite how old I'm getting. I stress myself over it all the time. Wish I could just learn to take care of myself and move out of this house where I'm constantly dealing with my nagging parents. But sometimes it just feels like I'm never getting out of here. Despite how much I want to get a job, learn to drive, etc., the idea of doing such is so foreign to me, it's scary. It's like I'm afraid of life. Have I ever considered suicide? Well, it's crossed my mind plenty of times, but those thoughts never ended well, and I always let go of them and move on. I still feel I have too much to live for. But how can I live my life when I'm still struggling with classes? My problem is that I am always so reluctant to get started with an assignment, wishing I could be doing anything but that. And usually, that's just what I end up doing, constantly procrastinating. Like I said before, I can never seem to pass any more than 3 classes each semester. What's more, I signed up for 6 in the fall. 6! I also have at least 5 to take in the spring because it's the only way I will be able to graduate by next summer because I just want to get out of this whole school business now. My biggest problem with OCD is that I fear for my future, but at no point do I have any intention of giving up that future. My hopes and dreams are what drive me, and no matter how old, unattractive, and unsuccessful I become, I will always do whatever I can to share my works with the world. I'm not very pleased with the state the world is in, and I think the media is a major contributor to that. I want to help shape new ideals in people and hopefully move humanity in the right path. That is my dream, and I shall always follow it. So to all those who don't understand obsessive-compulsive disorder, just remember that we are all ordinary people with some slightly unusual traits. But we still live and breathe like any human. We have our mental issues, yes, but we do what we can to live life regardless, even overcome these inner demons. Just remember that when you talk to one of us on the bus or on the street. It's not like we'll hurt you or anything, even over thinking about it. This is Jeff May, and I thank you for listening to my story.
Good. I'm finally done. Now all I gotta do is proofread. Whoa, that doesn't belong there.